Hello, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to this week's edition of Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services right here in Sydney. Yesterday, the Immigration Department released the figures for the nomination of places to the states and territories in Australia for the 190 and 491 visas. It turned out to be disastrous news not only for the state and territory governments, but also for those hopefully looking to be nominated at least by one of them. At face value, it would seem as if the Immigration Department has betrayed the trust of those who have spent so much time and effort to gain state sponsorship approvals. The worst affected will be those who are currently in Australia, having moved to the states and territories with the anticipation of having a fair chance for a positive migration outcome. This fair chance has largely disappeared for about 45,000 people. Does the federal government really believe it can run its migration program and meet the skills shortages with these types of tactics? Or is it a carefully planned stunt just to raise public awareness of the importance of the migration program? We will look into this question later on. For now, let's take a close look at these disappointing figures. The Australian Capital Territory has been allocated just 1,200 places compared to its 4,050 places last financial year. These places will be equally divided with 600 for the 190 visa and 600 for the 491 visa. New South Wales is allocated 4,150 places compared to the 15,276 it received last financial year. 2,650 is going to the 190 visa and 1,500 going to the 491 visa. The Northern Territory received just 650 places compared to 2,000 last year, 250 for the 190 visa and 400 for the 491. Queensland has been allocated just 1,550 places compared to 5,000 last year. 900 goes to the 190 visa and 650 goes to the 491. South Australia gets only 2,300 places, significantly reduced from 8,800 last year. 1,100 goes to the 190 visa and 1,200 to the 491 visa. Tasmania last year had 4,250 places but now gets just 1,200, 600 allocated to each subclass. Victoria gets 3,300 places compared to 14,900 last year, 2,700 going to the 190 visa and 600 to the 491 visa. And finally, Western Australia receives just 2,350 compared to the 8,140 they got last year. 1,500 goes to the 190 visa and 850 to the 491. For the 19 visa in total then is 10,300 compared to 38,133 last year. The 491 visa in total is 6,400, down from last year's 24,238. With regard to the Business Innovation and Investment Program, no states or territories have been allocated places. 810 in total were allocated last year, and this year it is 0. The reduction in numbers is shocking. There is no other way to describe it. Let's take a look at the states' reactions. The first sign that there was even a problem came on Sunday night when the West Australian published this story. It stated that the allocations had been reduced to 70% and carried Premier Roger Cook's effort to get that decision reversed. Then on Monday, the West Australian released another story about how quickly the state had run out of its 8,000 allocated places last year. It claimed the places had already been used in just 9 months. This indicated the fact that the demand for the places was much higher than the 8,000 given. By Tuesday, the Financial Review jumped on the story and reported that Mr. Cook pleaded with the Prime Minister directly to receive more places. In the article, Mr. Cook is quoted as saying, "I put to the Prime Minister that if we're going to meet our targets in relation to the national targets around home construction, we need the workers to do that construction." He also added that WA deserved a higher percentage of the overall numbers due to its booming economy and skill shortages. And what about the other states and territories? Well, we did not hear a peep out of them until Thursday. South Australia updated its skilled visa pages with this announcement. The Commonwealth Government has provided an unexpected and substantial reduction in visa nomination allocation for South Australia's General Skilled Migration Program. We are working through how to best support South Australia's priority industries with the limited places available, including a focus on attracting overseas skilled migrants in critical sectors such as health and defence. Well, I'm sure these priority industries were comforted profited by these words. But what about the rest, the largest majority? One would infer from South Australia's reaction that the only people who can expect a nomination will be those working in critical sectors and priority industries. It would be nice to hear at least they also lobbying the PM to get more places allocated to them. Also on Thursday, migration agents received emails from the Tasmanian, the ACT and New South Wales governments. Tasmania's email contained the following statement. The allocation is significantly lower than anticipated. The Department of Home Affairs has advised that reductions have been enacted across the entire state and territory nominated programs due to the large number of visa applications on hand following the high quotas and subsequent number of nominations issued in the 2022-2023 financial year. We understand that this will be of a significant concern to many current and prospective applicants. We are continuing to engage with the Australian government on this matter. The ACT email followed a similar theme. I appreciate that this allocation is smaller than the allocation in 2022-23. It is also significantly smaller than the allocation that the ACT requested from the Department of Home Affairs. We acknowledge the impacts this may have on your business and on skilled migrants living in or wishing to migrate to the ACT. The New South Wales response email came in late on Thursday night and was very muted. One would even say disinterested. Information on how state and territory allocations have been distributed for the 2023-24 year has been published on the Home Affairs website. They didn't even bother to put their allocation numbers in the email, but did warn not to hang around New South Wales and expect an invitation. As far as the start of their invitation rounds go, they have given till the end of this September as the likely time to expect any. Given the reduction in allocated numbers, it would not be surprising if other states followed suit in delaying the invitation rounds. Victoria and Queensland so far have been mute in relation to the reduction of their numbers. Who are going to be the biggest losers of these huge cuts? Well, unfortunately, it is likely to be the former international students who decided to go and study in their regions on the basis of promised state sponsorship opportunities, or moved to work there after studying in other states. They were told by the states that there were opportunities if they came and worked there. Well, sadly, it seems that it may not be enough now. The Northern Territory has just 250 places to give for the 190 visa sponsorship. This would not even cover all the higher education students who moved to study there with the promise of PR afterwards. However, is this slashing of numbers just a cunning plan by the federal government, a strategic move to actually increase migration numbers? How is that possible, you ask? Well, then consider this. At the moment, we know the government wants more skilled migrants and other specific workers. Businesses and state premiers know the skills shortages are a significant national risk to the economy. However, the majority of Australians know very little about the migration program benefits to the country. They can only understand the short-term effects of rent and cost of living increases. The migration debate has been hijacked by these two pressing issues, and it gives no room for the federal government to justify increasing the intake. So, what's the best way to get back into the headlines once again? To get people talking about how essential migration numbers are? Well, one way is to squeeze the states and territories until they squeal blue murder about how much they are dependent on migration numbers. Get migration back into the public debate with a sense of urgency. This can then give the federal government a justification to increase the quotas. Will it work? Well, that's hard to tell. It depends on how hard each state and territory premier publicly lobbies the PM to increase the numbers and make it a media spectacle. If they all squeal loud enough, the PM can say he has listened to the problems of the people and is compelled to act. Remember, those increases to the states and territories were well above the planning levels of 2022-23 and came later on in the financial year. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the same will happen again and more numbers will be handed out to these states and territories. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news this week. There will be many changes coming our way, so stay tuned to these weekly editions. The best way to do that is to ensure you have subscribed and hit that notification bell, and we always appreciate the likes you give us every week. If you are confused or need assistance, please reach out and contact us via our consultation booking page on the website. Alternatively, you can pick up the phone. I'm sure there'll be plenty of reactions to this news in the coming weeks. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.